So working with images in Affinity Publisher happens in a couple of ways. You can go into your basic file place method, which works just like you'd expect. It does that in the same on Affinity Designer and Photo. Or you can use the tool on the toolbar called the Place Image tool and the Picture Frame tool. So the Place Image tool is basically the same thing as you'd expect from this menu. Or Picture Frame tool is kind of a placeholder for images that may or may not be already present. You can add them later or just use them as placeholders. But the neat thing is when you add these to your document, you can add them in a variety of ways that allow the image to basically adapt to the frame and mention. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to add just a handful of these, maybe just add these sporadically around our document here. Just option clicking and dragging that. And maybe the bottom one will be, maybe this one will be like a full spread. There we go. And what's neat is at any time I can go and place these images by going and using this tool now, the Place Image tool, and selecting a handful of images at once, and then we can define where those actually will live. You'll notice this panel pops up where we're able to actually dynamically select which image we want to use. And what's great is, and what's awesome about these apps, is the real-time updates that go on as you edit things in each document. So I can always see what this photo might look like given its state and the boundaries I've set within those frames. So maybe I'll use this one in the full spread. You'll notice it auto updates to go to the next one in line in this Place Images tab. And I'll set that one there and the last one there. So that's awesome. And on top of that, we can add some text around what those might look like. So we can maybe float the text to add that. I'm going to add some filler content. Filler text. It's right aligned right now. It's not set up exactly how I'd like. Maybe we'll use just a nice basic font. Go set that in. Maybe we modify it ever so slightly just to have what we're after. And you can adjust the number of columns you want here as well. So maybe I'll add 2 columns. That's going to be in the boundaries of our document. And what I want to do is push this up. You'll notice the photos are text is overlaying the photos. So we want to adjust that. So let me adjust this a bit. Okay, so with that done, we can go and I'm going to move the text to the back of this layer by doing this, dragging it down, and we can adjust the properties of the image to scale to fit, stretch to fit, have none in terms of scale, or just scale to max fit. So what that means is essentially when I scale, that image is going to just make up the boundaries of the text where we so feel it should. So I'll leave that one maybe a little larger and possibly have this one just stemming off of it. It's kind of create a different type of grid for us to adapt to. You'll see that photo does the same trick there. So if I were to set the scale to min fit, you'll notice it shrinks down, so it's just scaling. But I'd rather crop it to fit like it is currently. And then with our text, we can go and adjust these settings, the text wrap settings. Okay, so with the text wrap, we can adjust where the text flows around the image. You'll need to select the picture frame itself and then adjust the setting you prefer. In this case, it's kind of oblong, and we can adjust it to just jump around the content. And we'll do the same for the one over here. You'll notice the text frame jumps accordingly, so we can resize it to either fit or just kind of adapt where we see fit. So far it's kind of in an odd area, so maybe I'll adjust the image accordingly just to be side by side or something of that nature. And we can adjust the text to wrap to it, whichever way we like. So something like that, so it's kind of staggered would be nice. Combining the picture frame tool as well as text wrapping can make a document really unique. You'll notice that with these text wrapping frames, you can adjust how many columns you want as well, just to kind of make it even more unique. Keep in mind white space is a good thing to have. So Thick margins makes text easier to read, as well as just presents it in a nicer way. So that's subjective, of course, when you are designing something. So definitely take into account. So besides placing and modifying images, you can actually dictate what images live inside your project or maybe get linked from elsewhere. So file size and image size make a big difference when you're working with a large document, such as a published book or a magazine of something like that nature, where there are just many pages that might have a lot of photography. And photos for print require really high DPI, which means the file size is going to be pretty large. So to compete with this, you can actually go to your resources manager in the document dropdown. You'll see that all your images in your document will be here. You'll notice by default they're going to be embedded. And what you can do is make those linked if you'd rather them be linked from elsewhere on your system, on your computer. So maybe you create a folder with your publisher file inside. You can have all your images inside of it. And then that's how you transport the entire document to other designers or printers, etc. They don't necessarily need to have the images embedded in the document to make use of it. So it's a great way to save file size on your own. Just making this linked is as simple as clicking this button, and now it's linked. So it's linked from whatever portion of your computer it's actually sourced. You can make it embedded by just saying the opposite again. At any time, you can replace another photo with the current one, which is a great feature. That's something that also comes from InDesign, from the Adobe side. And you can also locate that file based on the path it's shown. So that is kind of a cool feature to have. All of these are a great way to source what assets you have in your document and a bit about them, which is great to know. So file size or original size of this photo is pretty large. It's one I just got from Unsplash for demo purposes. But we can see the size it is in terms of what we place it as well as the profile and the color space. So all useful information, all very valuable to have. Definitely check that feature out as well. Hopefully that helped you. Images are fairly easy to work with in Affinity Publisher as I'm beginning to learn more and more about them. All the features you used to in Affinity Photo and Designer work the same way in terms of imagery, but now we have this picture frame tool that lets us do a lot more with our images that makes it very quick and easy to work with.